And since it's been a rough week for me, and I know how loose the sermon is, maybe you should leave now. It might not get any better from this point on.
Just do it. Isn't that what the sermon says?
Just do it. Well, that's kind of what the song suggests too. Just go out and do it. It is tough to be perfect. I've been watching a lot of the Olympics this week, and I just marvel at the skills, the tiny little differences in a performance that can mean, gold versus, not even completing the bobsled run, or the skeletal run, or these sports that I don't know much about. But these athletes have committed their entire selves to this sport that they practice. They train, they diet, they practice. They live in a way so that when they get to their field of competition, they have maximized everything that they can grasp in order to try to give the most perfect performance in that moment that they can possibly give. And as Buckeye fans here, we're very familiar with that concept. Our coaches do that with our teams, in every field of play. We expect it from our athletes sometimes, which is a bit unfair. I expected my basketball Buckeyes yesterday to win against Iowa. That was supposed to happen. It didn't, which also set me into a little spin in sermon preparation. But we will recover. We take on the Hoosiers tomorrow. And there are a lot of sayings in sports preparations that I think are sometimes meaningful to our everyday lives, including the Nike saying, just do it. I think coaches say that to athletes all the time. In looking for perfection and more work, just do it. Get her done. My brother, who used to be the wrestling coach at Marion Pleasant and is now coaching wrestling at Otterbein, I often joke with him that probably his favorite saying is, suck it up, buttercup. I don't really think he uses that one, but I always accuse him of using it. But perfect is very hard. And I was also reading that perfect, is what we often grant to gold medal finalists, like that must have been the most perfect performance of that day. They say that the silver medalist is often not that happy to receive their silver medal because they're focusing on how close they came and what might have been. But the bronze medal winner is like happy to be included. Like, yay, I'm a bronze medal winner. Well, perfect is hard. And it made me think about it in my life. Am I shooting for a gold medal? Am I disappointed to get silver sometimes, or am I happy for bronze? And it reminded me of this bedtime routine we had when I was a little girl at home. So my parents would come in and tuck us into bed, and we would recite this nightly prayer. Then sometimes we would recite a Bible verse that we might have been memorizing from Sunday school or something that week. And so we would recite a Bible verse from memory, and my dad would produce a lot of giggles from all of his kids because he always insisted on quoting Jesus wept. It's like, Dad, you can't keep picking that one. That's the rule. You can recite any verse you want. And so we would just burst into giggles over his predictable recitation of the shortest verse, Jesus wept. So I would then have my own routine, which included reading some Bible verses in bed, turning off the light, and then I would say my own prayer in bed that night. And I would earnestly ask God to protect at least every member of my family tonight, tomorrow night, and the next night, and forevermore you want them to live. And I was certain that my prayer was guaranteeing at least like 2 more nights of life for my grandparents, my aunts, my cousins. And then I would think through my day about how ask for forgiveness, like, oh, I got in a fight with my brothers. I was mean to my mom. Please forgive me, help me to do better. And sometimes, though, I would lay there and I'd think, no fights today. I didn't get in a fight with my mom. I made my bed, because that would be a great sin not to make your bed in my mom's house. Sometimes I would review the day and I'd feel very sorry for my brothers. It's like, they were horrible today. They have a lot to ask for forgiveness for. But on some days I thought, I don't think I did anything wrong today. I think I was pretty perfect today. And I had nothing to ask for forgiveness for. And so I happened to mention to my mother in passing once that, I was perfect yesterday. I was a perfect person yesterday. Well, it did not take long for my mother to realize that she did not want a perfect 8-year-old daughter being snotty about it and bragging about how perfect I was when she took the opportunity to tell me, that's not what it's all about, Beth. It's just not the lack of, having a fight with your brother. There's a whole lot that Jesus expects us to do as Christians. And let me assure you that you are not a perfect little girl. And so I had a rather short phase in my life of being perfect, and I haven't been since. And that's kind of what today's passage is about to me, that Kay shared with us. It comes from the book of Luke, and it's amongst a bunch of chapters that give us a real idea of what Jesus' ministry was about at the time. And he would wander around and attract lots of crowds of folks listening to what he had to say. And last week, Pastor Adam talked to us about the Sermon on the Plain. He was attracting a lot of attention at the time because he was saying the kind of stuff that folks hadn't heard before. Because back then, there was a real order to life. You knew where you were on the pecking order of importance. And often those who were most important, most favored, most deserving of all were the wealthy and the powerful and the elite. And the rest of the folks, the rest of us, knew that we weren't on the in club. We never would be. And this was just the way of life. But Jesus started going around sharing the word of a loving and accepting God who invites all to be part of this cloud of love. Blessings were not just for those who were in charge. Blessings were for everyone. And as Adam pointed out last week, he said, blessed are the poor. The poor, the ones that we usually shun and who are made to feel ashamed, deserve blessings. And Jesus delivered those blessings to them. He delivered words of comfort that applied to everyone. Well, in today's scripture, Jesus is continuing on those kinds of themes and making folks know, regular folk know, that blessings aren't for the rulers and the elite. In fact, it may be easier for those of us who are regular folk to receive the true measure of blessing from God than those who have been living the high life with power. He talked about an unselfish love, that not only does God have that for all of us, but if we're going to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, we need to provide and extend that kind of love to others. Also made clear, it's not good enough just to be kind and giving to your family and friends. Everybody does that. There's nothing different or new about that. You need to do it to the folks that you might not even like that much. Even to the fans of University of Michigan. Says our proud grad, our proud Wolverine here in the center. Jesus spells out this whole list of things that can be awfully difficult to do. Love your enemies. Love those who curse and hate you. Do good for them anyhow. Pray for them. Forgive others. Turn the other cheek, which, by the way, I'll put in, there are limitations to that. Domestic violence victims should not be, turning the other cheek when we care about the well-being of others. Sometimes this verse gets misused and abused by others. But don't walk around holding grievances in your heart towards others. It will weigh you down. If someone takes your coat, give them your shirt too. Don't expect repayment for the good acts that you do. Don't judge or criticize others. Be merciful, loving and kind to all, just like our God is. What a very difficult assignment. Most of us will never reach perfection on that list. And that's okay. I routinely say that I'm a practicing Christian because I still don't have it down right. Perfect may be impossible, but I'm working to perfect living a life that tries to reflect a walk with Jesus. There's another important message in this list of impossible but somewhat rewarding steps to take, and that's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, this sort of concept is included in nearly every organized religion. Philosophers call it like a principle of reciprocity. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. However, in some other major religions, the statement may occur in their scriptures or whatever their major books are, but many times it's framed the other way around. Don't do harmful things to others that you wouldn't want done to yourself. However, ours is worded very broadly. Not only are we not to do bad things to others, because no one wants that to happen to them, we're to do good things too. We're to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. So we are required to intentionally express positive acts of love to others. It's a call to action. It's a verb. Just do it. This can be difficult, but what I want you to know is that because you're here at University Baptist Church, you are supporting a whole lot of that sort of thing that is already taking place. When you support University Baptist Church, you may not know it, but you are supporting a whole lot of international ministries sponsored by the American Baptist Churches that provide training, hunger relief, health care. You're supporting services to immigrants and refugees, educational support to some of the most vulnerable people in our country and abroad. Here, out of this very building, we routinely support neighborhood services, a food pantry that this church helped found. And we also have the long-standing ministry that is run by people sitting right here with us now, the International Coffee, where we have hosted for decades women from around the world who are looking for conversational English skills, for ideas how to get around in a new city, in a new way of life that they may be very unfamiliar with. There are people all over the world at this moment who know the blessings that have been provided to them by the loving care and generosity of people who have come through the doors of this very church. When we support each other, we can live out a real radical type of love that makes a difference in the world. It can be hard to take on some of those gigantic systemic problems that just seem out of reach at times. But I also think this message from Jesus is something that we can achieve a portion of it just by some of the smallest gestures, just by being kind, And heaven knows in this day and age, with divisiveness all around us, what the world needs now really is a bit of kindness. Each one of us has the ability to do that in our own way. It could just be a gesture. It could be saying hello to a stranger on the street who may not know that they matter. We all have gone through those periods. I remember years ago, Pastor Sarah gave a sermon from this very spot in which she called us at the time to pay attention to those that don't get a lot of attention. Pay attention to the attendants at the gas station. Pay attention to the folks ringing up your groceries. And we've become very aware of the absolute importance of people who fulfilled these jobs during the COVID virus, essential workers who may not feel like they're in the in club all the time, but they certainly make a difference in the quality of life that we all take for granted at times. And so for years, I paid attention to that sermon that she gave, and I make an intentional effort to talk to people that I don't know in just passing ways, and it is marvelous. During COVID, I spent a lot of time going through drive-thrus because it was the only place, the fast food drive-thrus were one of the only places that you could have an eyeball-to-eyeball experience with another human. Restaurants weren't open. Tim Hortons was, just the drive-thru. I don't even like donuts. But I had donuts every day because there was a woman there, Miss Linda. I became friends with Miss Linda by going there every day to get a donut that I certainly didn't need, but I was craving human interaction. She had a car accident. She has a sister. She hurt her elbow. She and I would just have these momentary exchanges. And it was meaningful to me, and my sense was it was meaningful to her. I sometimes, when we have waiters coming to our table, when we go out, or when I get waited on, I will often say, wow, I love your fingernails. Or, what a cool tattoo, can you tell me about that? And my husband sits at the table and rolls his eyes and says, I knew you were going to say that. Must you always do that? And for me, I must. And I encourage you all, it's a commercial message for the series that we're going to be doing about Myers-Briggs, because I'm hoping John will tune in, but I think that will allow us to better understand why I love doing that sort of thing, and my husband absolutely hates it and will never consider it. So we're all different, and we all have different ways that we may indeed exercise our love and our kindness to others. In fact, sometimes when we're in crowds, like to spur John's, if you haven't met my husband, he can be perceived as a rather stern person, not exactly a warm, fuzzy, outgoing kind of fellow. Is that fair, Barbara?
No comment.
But I will kind of egg him on. It's like, John, as we walk through this crowd, let's have a contest and see which one of us can get the most strangers to say hi back to us. And so I'll just smile and I'm like, there was one, and I'm like, hey, good day, have a great day. John hates that. But because of Myers-Briggs, I know that that's something that not only am I capable of doing, but I have to do it because of my personality type. And it's unfair to expect John to do it because that's just not part of his internal DNA. So tune in to the Myers-Briggs training, and I think it also affects the way that we do ministry to others. So I'll see you on Zoom for Myers-Briggs talks in the future. If you recall from Kay's reading, the other part of the passage today says, for the measure you give will be the measure you get back. I don't think that when Jesus calls on us to do this, that he was suggesting that it would be a transactional kind of thing. I don't think he was thinking of the 8-year-old Beth who is keeping track and marking sins for not only myself, but my brothers too. I was trying to be helpful. I think that it's, far more of what the giver actually gets in the end. Yes, maybe, maybe things will come back through the cosmos later to nice folks, but I think the bigger lesson about the measure you give is the measure you get back, is you learn how much you enjoy these acts of kindness and these acts of generosity. It can become addictive. And wow, wouldn't that make a difference in the world? Kind of like tossing a stone in the middle of Mirror Lake and watching the circles expand out more and more broadly, and you never really know what impact your kindnesses might have in the future and on people who may have needs you never knew about. So this past week on Thursday was National Random Acts of Kindness Day. And Ohio State had a program, and we, our pastor went over and picked up a number of them. Thank you. And the fact that it says share kindness, and Pastor Adam we were encouraged to distribute these to others. And this is like the big reveal on Austin right now. And the winner is, it's a great day to share kindness. You matter. That's why we're dropping you a quick note to say we're glad you're here, and we hope you share your kindness with someone else. And there are included 2 little note cards that you are encouraged to pass on to others that said just a little thanks. Were there some people here that got these packages, these little envelopes? Okay, I'm looking in this way. Did anybody here? Yay, yay. Did anyone send these notes to others that were provided? Okay, so we're going to give you all the opportunity today because dropping a note to someone is a really small gesture that we never know if it will pick someone up on a day that they might have needed picking up. A note that says you matter or thank you. And so Pastor Adam is going to distribute to each person here a note card. I bought a ton of stamps, and what I'm hoping you'll be willing to do is take a moment and scribble a quick note that says, thank you, you matter, I was thinking of you, the Bucks lost, they try again on Monday. It's something to say I was thinking of you and thank you. And we will mail those out as a small act of kindness to others. And this church has a history of using cards as a ministry path to express care to others. In fact, Genevieve Peterson ran a ministry through here for years where she and a number of friends would recycle used greeting cards so that people could send them to others. And she would supply these cards to nursing homes, to prisons, places where folks might not have cards, so that they could reach out and provide a note. I got a call from Genevieve maybe 4 weeks ago, and Genevieve and Ken retired to Delaware several years ago, and I hadn't talked to Genevieve for years. And she called and she said, Beth, I have a card that you sent me that I'm going to send you because I think you'd like to have it. Okay. She sent me in the mail a card that I had written her that said, Genevieve, I just want to thank you for your card ministry because my mother has gotten a number of these cards. They've been signed from folks from University Baptist Church. I just visited her this week, and she was in very good health and was able to talk, and she had many questions about how are different people doing at the church. And so it was a really pleasant visit, and I just wanted to tell you that she appreciates those cards and it makes a difference. I had sent that card to Genevieve, I don't know when, but my mother has been gone for 20 years. My mother mother died 20 years ago, and it was sometime prior to that I had sent Genevieve this card that said, thank you. You know, it made a difference for my mom, and she kept it. She kept it because she was fond of the message that it had, which is a lesson that just saying thank you sometimes means a lot more to people than we often think. My friend at work is originally from California, and he is friends with a man who's on the board of the National Random Acts of Kindness organization. And NPR actually interviewed him this week, and he had been working in his community with the school districts because they wanted to complete 1 million acts of kindness during the past 12 months. They were encouraging children. They were encouraging everyone to do small things to build up to 1 million acts of kindness. Wow. What a world it would be if we truly had a revolution of kindness. So we are all practicing for how to be followers of Jesus. Followers and family members of a loving God who provides generous love, mercy, and blessings to all of us. And we can practice on perfecting providing a kind of radical love to others, for our neighbors, for strangers, for friends, and also for ourselves. It counts when you're being kind to yourself. It helps you gather the energy and the strength that's needed to provide help to others in the future. So, are you ready for it? Can you provide an act of kindness? Can you drop a note to someone? I'll collect them in the narthex when we're done. Perfect is hard.